Medical Product Regulation and Innovation for Patients, Part 2. This is a bipartisan hearing. Senator Murray and I called the hearing together and invited the witnesses together. We'll each have an opening statement, Senator Murray and I, and then we'll introduce our panel of witnesses. After our witness testimony, senators will each have 5 minutes of questions. This is our second hearing on reauthorizing of the Food and Drug Administration medical device and drug user fees. FDA is the agency responsible for making sure that patients benefit from the promising research driven by the 21st Century Cures Act, which this committee worked on last year in a bipartisan way, in which Majority Leader Senator McConnell called the most important piece of legislation last year. And 2 weeks ago, this committee heard from experts at the FDA who told us that a timely reauthorization of these user fee agreements is integral to helping patients and continuing implementation of the 21st Century Cures Act. I asked witnesses at the last hearing what will happen if we do not authorize by the end of July, 20 days before the authority to collect user fees expires, and here's what they said. Dr. Janet Woodcock, head of the FDA's Drug Center, agreed that cancer drugs would be delayed and said that patients developing resistance to existing cancer drugs might soon not have innovative ones approved soon enough to help them. Dr. Jeffrey Shuren, the head of the Device Center, said, quote, "We'd lose about a third of our people. And it's not just that reviews will take longer, but the industry, which is now starting to bring their innovative technologies to the U.S. early, sometimes first, as you heard with the artificial pancreas, they're going elsewhere." Dr. Marks, head of the Biologics Center, talked about how ongoing research would be slowed if FDA did not have the staff to provide feedback to companies and scientists. Dr. Marks said, quote, "We have literally hundreds of investigational new drug applications that are part of user fee programs, the ability to hold meetings in a timely manner, the ability to make sure these approvals happen in a timely manner, to get products to patients with medical needs would be adversely impacted severely." That is what the experts from FDA told us 2 weeks ago. And it is why I'm committed to working with the ranking member Murray and members of the committee to reauthorize these 4 different user fees agreements before the August recess. The user fee agreements and commitment letters, part of the agreements between FDA and industry that establishes the agency's commitments in exchange for the fees Congress authorizes, these have gone through an extensive process. In Congress, while we were working on the 21st Century Cures and after it was signed into law, the Help Committee had 15 bipartisan briefings, some of which were with the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House of Representatives as well, to hear from the FDA and industry about the reauthorization. The first of those briefings was way back in 2015. Outside of Congress, FDA posted meeting minutes after every negotiation and held public meetings before discussions began and to hear feedback on the draft recommendations last fall. The panel today, representing the manufacturers of drugs and medical devices and the patients who rely on the products they make, can speak to this process. Each of the industries represented here, prescription drug, generic drug, medical device, biosimilar, agreed to increase the user fees going to FDA over the next 5 years. I'm interested in hearing why this is a good agreement for you and for the companies you represent. Patients were involved in developing the commitment letters. We've already begun receiving support from patient groups asking us to reauthorize the agreements expeditiously. For example, the National Organization of Rare Diseases and Friends of Cancer Research wrote to me and to Senator Murray saying, quote, "The cancer and rare disease patient communities rely on FDA to ensure that innovative, safe, and effective treatments reach those in need. We thank the Help and Energy and Commerce Committees for moving forward with these critical mechanisms and look forward to their swift and unimpeded passage." I look forward to hearing from the Alliance for Aging Research today on how the user fees benefit patients as they age. After reviewing the recommendations from industry and the FDA, I believe these are good agreements for patients. I look forward to working with Senator Murray and to our other committee members to approve these agreements here in committee and move them to the floor in a timely manner so patients in the agency and the industry can operate with certainty. Senator Murray.